country can become rich with the proper use of tariffs. It'll keep
Did you just
companies...
float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure. But why not? Because ready? Our country was the richest relatively in the 1880s and 1890s. A president who was assassinated named McKinley. He was the tariff king. He spoke beautifully of tariffs. His language was really beautiful. We will not allow the enemy to come in and take our jobs and take our factories and take our workers and take our families unless they pay a big price. And the big price is tariffs. And he'd speak like that, but he was right. And then around in the early 1900s, they switched over stupidly to, frankly, an income tax. And you know why? Because countries were putting a lot of pressure on America. We don't want to pay tariffs. Please don't. You know, believe me, they control our politicians. Because you cannot be voting for Kamala. Kamala, you're not a Kamala person. I know you. I've watched you. I know him better than he does. You know what? Without speaking to you, I think I know you maybe almost as well as your wife. I have watched you for so many years. You're not a Kamala person. You're a Khabib person, but you're not a Kamala person. No. Who's the greatest UFC fighter? Are you allowed to say, in your opinion? It's tough for you to say because you do this, but who do you think is the greatest of the fighters?
There's a lot of arguments for who's the greatest of all time. You know, John Jones, most people would say is the greatest of all time, never lost. There's certainly a really good argument for that. There's another argument for Georges St. Pierre. I always leave in B.J. Penn in his prime, Anderson Silva in his prime. You know, Mighty Mouse. People forget about Mighty Mouse because, unfortunately, he's a smaller guy. He's 125 pounds, flyweight champion. He's one of the greatest expressions of mixed martial arts I've ever seen. I think to this day.
And Khabib? What about Khabib?
Khabib's fantastic. But
they're great athletes.
Oh, the best athletes in the world. And the most dangerous sport in terms of, like, I always call it high-level problem solving with dire physical consequences.
Yeah, it's just brutal.
That's what fighting is.
You know,
first of all, I love this idea of you teaming up with Robert Kennedy.
Right.
And I love this Make America Healthy Again idea because there are chemicals and ingredients in our food that are illegal in other countries because they've been shown to be toxic. There's pesticides and herbicides, and there's a lot of that's been sprayed on our food that really is unnecessary. And there's a lot of health consequences that people are suffering from a lot of these things. And
I brought this chart for you.
Beautiful.
Because I had a feeling you'd be asking me.
Thank you.
Look at this chart. These are healthier countries. Look where the United States is. I'm going to send this to RFK Jr. Look at that.
This is, well, something along the... I was actually talking to RFK today, and he told me that more than 70% of young men are ineligible for the military because of their health.
I could see it.
That's crazy.
A lot of it's obesity.
So here's the life expectancy versus health expenditure.
Same chart.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
USA.
Wow,
yeah.
That's pretty good.
Jamie's the best.
He's very good.
He's the best.
But but look at that. Look where
at
the USA is.
It's not good. And that's our food.
That's
our diet. That's sedentary lifestyle. That's our diet. That's the chemicals we ingest. That's what that is.
But RFK is going to be very, you know, I think he's a great guy.
I love the fact that you guys teamed up.
I've actually always gotten along very well with him. I've known him a long time. He's a different kind of a guy. He's very smart, great guy. And he's very sincere about this. I mean, he really is, you know, he thinks we spend a fortune on pesticides and all this stuff, and then you end up with... That chart is a terrible chart, the one previous. It's such a bad chart when you look at where we are compared to other countries that don't spend 10 cents.
Right.
Many celebrities have reacted to Joe Rogan's podcast episode with Donald Trump. First, Hulk Hogan said, "Trump for win." Next, The Rock said, "Gotta say, whatever you think, it was an interesting watch." Next, Will Smith said, "Got a lot of thoughts on this." Next, Sylvester Stallone said, "Exactly what America needs to see right now." Next, Adam Sandler said,
Hats off to Rogan for always providing an interesting, informative, and most importantly, entertaining experience. And finally, Stone Cold Steve Austin said, "Need to stop giving men like Trump a platform." Donald recently made a shock appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience after fans had been desperate for him to appear on it for many years. Donald had been doing the rounds on the podcast circuit for several months now, but Joe's was a notable absence. He stunned fans by appearing on the show, and Joe and Donald spoke about a wide range of topics for over 3 hours. Some fans are excited about the episode and think it was an entertaining and informative listen. They think that Joe gave Donald a chance to speak openly, and they appreciate Joe's ability to ask questions that draw out interesting responses. They think it was refreshing to see someone give Donald an open platform to share his views. Other fans are critical of Joe for having Donald on the show, saying that he shouldn't be giving him a platform. They think this episode could contribute to further polarizing opinions and that Joe should be more careful with his guest choices. Some fans are just intrigued by Joe and Donald being on the same episode. They say it was fascinating to see the mix of perspectives and personalities, even if they didn't agree with everything. One fan said, "Rogan always delivers interesting content even when it's controversial. This episode was no different, and it was good to hear what Donald had to say." Another fan said, "Giving Donald a platform feels irresponsible. Joe should have thought twice before inviting him on, especially considering the influence his show has." For this video's comment question, did you like the podcast? Before you go, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for daily news updates on your favorite celebs. Thanks a lot for watching.